That's a waste of time. That's irrelevant behavior. And I see a lot of people be doing that stuff in the comment sections, and they don't agree with something. They run up in the comment section talking crazy. So back in the day, I used to have this homeboy. We called him White Boy. And that's what I'm going to call him for the purpose of this video. Anyways, White Boy was cool. He hung around pretty much an entirely black crew. And if you know anything about white boys that like to hang around with a lot of black people, they usually go a little extra hard. He was actually the guy that introduced me to weed. Not the most productive relationship, but he introduced me to the cannabis, in which I had a 15-year addiction to. But anyways, me and him used to live together. And when we lived together, we'd work night shift. We worked at the same spot. And we'd usually start our mornings around 9, 10 o'clock. And what usually would happen is we would eat breakfast and watch the Maury Show. I don't know if you're familiar with the Maury Show. A lot of you youngins probably won't be, but the older heads know what I'm talking about. One of those talk shows with the crazy antics. He would say, "You're not the father." And dudes would be crip walking and having a good time, not being the father of a baby. Just real scandalous show, but that's what we watched. That was the first thing we decided to put into our minds in the morning. And, we was watching that whatnot. And there used to be these crazy commercials for the Maury Show. There was two main types of commercials. Commercial number one is the African orphan type thing. And then commercial number two is the abused dogs commercial or the abused animals commercial. White boy sitting there having breakfast. Same thing he has every morning. Cheese, eggs, and toast. And we're watching the Maury Show, and then one of those dog commercials comes on. Now, White boy loves his dogs. He always had dogs his entire life, and that was just his thing. He really messed with his dogs. He loved his dogs. He had a big dog, and that was his thing. A part came on in the commercial where it was about an abused dog. This dude dropped his fork, and he was so upset. He's like, "I can't eat anymore." He's like, "I can't believe they keep showing this stuff on TV. I just can't eat no more. I can't eat." Right? I'm like, he's really emotionally connected to these dogs. But hey, man, to each his own. We continue watching the Maury Show, whatnot. And then another commercial break comes on. This commercial break comes on, and it's some starving African kids. And at this point in time, he had gotten his appetite back. White boy looked up at those starving African kids with all that sad music. I kept eating his damn food. Not a care in the world. So the dogs really bothered him. Like, he couldn't eat when dogs were on the TV. But when those starving kids was on the TV, it was no issue. He was crushing those eggs with the starving kids on the TV. So I looked at him. I'm like, "Yo, bro, why you were so mad about the dogs, but you cool with the kids?" And he kind of looked like he was ashamed of the situation. He's like, "Yo, I like dogs and whatnot." And me and my boy, my other homie, he's black. We had a good laugh about it. We're like, "Yo, this dude is crazy." Like, "Yo, this dude couldn't care less about them kids." But he was ready to break out in some tears over a dog. And for a while, we went back and forth on this. We're like, "Yo, you crazy. Why would you, where are your priorities and whatnot?" The moral of the story is you can't really change anybody's minds about anything. People are going to hold what they consider to be important as important. I see a lot of people wasting time arguing about politics and trying to change people's minds. You're never going to change anybody's minds because people make decisions based on their life experiences. He's always had a dog. There's a huge emotional connection to dogs in his life, right? Whenever a dog died in his family, it was like a devastating thing. It was a big deal, right? Whereas me, we never really tripped about dogs, but that was just his personal experience. So although we were kind of frustrated and taken back by why he wouldn't care about the kids as much as a dog, that's because of his life experience and just what he holds important. There's no point in trying to change anybody's mind about anything. If you're conservative, there's no point in trying to change people. If you're Christian, there's no point in trying to change anybody that's Muslim. You just got to do what you got to do because everybody makes decisions based on their life experiences. Whatever they experience in life, they make decisions based off of that. I wonder if they close this A&W down, that'd be devastating. Anyways, when I was young, I used to spend a lot of time trying to convince people that, my way of thinking was the right way of thinking. You know what I mean? Like I was right. I knew better. A lot of younger people and a lot of people in general, they're always trying to convince others to buy into their ideas, to believe what they believe, when that's the most useless use of time ever, because people are stuck in their ways. And there's no such thing as objective reality. All reality is subjective, which means it's all based on what you do and what you think and what you believe. It doesn't mean that you're right or you're wrong. It just means you grew up a certain way and have certain biases, and that's what you're just going to keep doing. A better use of time is trying to improve yourself, make some money, and do something productive with your life instead of trying to convince people and get these moral victories, man. Because a wise man once said, moral victories are for minor league coaches. It's not your job to try to change somebody's mind. The only person's mind you need to try to change is your own. Change your own mind. Become better. See the holes in your character and try to fix that. When you on a plane, the first thing they say is if the pressure gets low, put the mask on yourself. And a lot of people, they're trying to put the mask on somebody else, trying to save people when their life suck. Your life suck and you ain't even doing nothing, and you trying to save somebody else. You trying to convince somebody else of something for what? So you could get a moral victory? So you could seem right for the moment and seem all self-righteous? That's a waste of time. That's irrelevant behavior. And I see a lot of people be doing that stuff in the comment sections, and they don't agree with something. They run up in the comment section talking crazy. For what? That's such loser behavior. Focus on your personal development and focus on yourself, man. Those little victories that people try to get, winning arguments and all that, it's not really a victory. They're trying to validate themselves. I mean, you can't convince anybody of anything. And if you do, guess what? Even if it turns out that your truth is correct, they're going to resent you because nobody ever wants to feel like they're wrong. As a man, the only people we're supposed to try to convince is our children. That was a good life lesson for me because for years I was flabbergasted by white boy's behavior. I was confused. But then as I got older, I realized it's just his circumstances. I never grew up with dogs, so I didn't value dogs. He grew up with dogs his entire life, so he valued dogs. I'm black. Obviously, I'm going to value those black children's lives more than a dog. We all have our internal biases, but none of those biases are right. They're just based off of life experience. The most consequential thing you could ever do with the time you have on this earth is focus on yourself and try to become the best version of yourself. One of my favorite lines from How to Win Friends and Influence People is don't criticize, complain, and condemn. Probably the hardest rule out of all of them. And I work hard at it every single day because there's no point. They're either going to resent you or you're never going to change their mind. And all you end up doing is wasting your most precious asset on something that is completely futile, makes no sense. You gain no ground and you just get a moral victory, which is the same thing as getting a 5th place trophy. It doesn't do anything for you. So unless you are a professional debater, it might be time to focus on different things instead of trying to prove people wrong or tell people that your truth is greater than their truth. With all that being said, that's my story for today. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.